Hi there, this is Greg Cox, founder and CEO of the Impact Foundry. Those of you that know me and those of you that are my clients know that I am really into reading books. I read all the time, and pretty much you're going to find me with the book. Anyway, a couple people have asked me, say, okay, Greg, well, I really don't have time to read, so what do you suggest about, for that? And here are a couple things that I think may help you get more out of your reading in what's rest of this year and the upcoming year. First thing is that you've got to decide that you want to read. This is just, you got to kind of make that decision. And so for a lot of us that are too busy to read, what that means is something's got to go. For me, it was sports radio, okay, in the car, traveling all the time. I count audiobooks, by the way, as reads, yeah. And I quit cold turkey. I stopped listening to sports radio. I figured I really didn't. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I don't really need to know about the matchup between the Chargers and the Seahawks. Who really? I might watch the game, frankly, but I don't really need to know the Tuesday predictions, if you know what I mean. So you decide, and you take your schedule and you change it around a little bit. The next thing you need to do is you need to get your list going. The thing I love about Amazon is that there's this thing called a wish list. And so I've got a couple hundred books in my wish list. Some I may never get, but I can start to think about what I want, what I'm thinking about reading. Another thing I like to do is I like to save the JPEGs, which you can just drag over. You drag the picture of the book into a folder of all the books you'd like to read. And so now you open up your reading folder and it shows all the ones you'd like to read. Frankly, when I finish reading them, I'll drag them into a red column, a red folder, and that's been really great. That's been super useful to me. The next thing you want to do is to get yourself a good highlighter, a good underlining pen. I think when you're going through reading that is going to help you to be a better leader, it's important that you underline the things that speak to you, the things that you find super hyper relevant and timely. Get a line under that. Get a line. Underline it. Put a star by it. You might even put a little short note by it. The next thing that you want to do is that when you finish a book, take that book and go sit down at a table. And I also like to get a journal that looks something like this. And I like to put the journal, open up the journal and take all my notes, all the things that I decided to underline, the things that I thought were most important in the book that I just finished, and transfer all those notes into the book. So these are the things that I've said, okay, these are worthy of my attention. I need to remember this the most. Yes, I've got the book sitting on my shelf, and I've got the most important things in my journal of action, which brings us to the next thing. Now we've got to take action on those things. We've got to make what we now know, okay, and move it into the do category. This is the greatest gap that exists. This one that, Stephen Covey talked about, the gap between knowing and doing. Big gap. Actually, to know and not do is to never have known, right? And so what we want to do is put that into action. Come up with an action plan. How are you going to work it in the mix? You're going to put together some flashcards so that you get it into your language. Are you going to remember to reflect on that at certain time intervals? What's your plan? What's your plan? It's not going to happen by accident. It's a great way to be intentional with your reading. You're going to want to read more. The great thing about doing those steps, to decide, to make a list, to underline and extract the best stuff, and then to take that, put that into a journal that you then take action on, that sets us up for impact. That sets us up for impact. That's what we want to really be able to do, is have impact. And impact doesn't happen by accident. Impact only happens when great ideas and great thinking spend some time in the Foundry and get molded and shaped and ready to take action on. One of the things you might find interesting is to download one of our recommended reading lists off of our website at www.theimpactfoundry.com. You also might find that joining our Facebook group called Leaders Are Readers by the Impact Foundry on Facebook, which is a great group. We have all kinds of great discussions going on reading, biographies of great leaders, all kinds of things that you might find to be relevant. So check that out. Thank you for joining us. We hope that your reading is more fruitful in the next couple months than it was in the last few.